it's always the most homophobic people that are the most closeted gays. For those of you who don't know, this is Bernie Moreno, a Senate candidate running in Ohio, very conservative, endorsed by Trump, J.D. Vance, and the like. And wouldn't you know it, they found an old gay dating profile of his. Now, the profile is very old, and he claims that it was made as a prank by one of his assistants way back when. We don't have concrete proof that he made this profile, but it makes sense.
And Bernie, an old story conveniently resurfaced, stunk to high heaven today. Existence of some 2008 profile on an adult website. It's a late hit, no doubt, but how can you reassure voters that this is all nonsense?
Well, it's complete nonsense. Unfortunately, somebody did it as a prank back in 16 years ago, admitted to it. Poor guy, really good person that did it. The AP knew it was fake. The news media has gotten so disgusting that for them to publish a story that even the National Enquirer would not have run shows you the depth of depravity that our mainstream media is all about, because they're so desperate to have an America Last, pro-Ukraine, basically squishy, spineless Republican in the United States Senate to blunt President Trump's agenda, that's the kind of desperate smear attacks they're doing. I've been married for 35 years. I hit the lottery with a great wife and 4 kids, and it's despicable what those guys are doing.
Listen, buddy, I don't know how your gay profile is linked to Ukraine, but okay. Like I said, we don't have concrete proof, but this wouldn't be the first time that an incredibly homophobic Republican was outed as secretly gay.
His name is George Rers. Remember that name? He was famous for being one of the founders of the Family Research Council, one of the original super anti-gay conservative culture war groups that became very influential in Republican politics. In the 1980s, George Rers was a founder of the Family Research Council. He specifically worked in the part of anti-gay politics that says that people can be cured of the gay. It can be reversed with just the right therapy. Well, by 2010, there was George Rers being photographed at the airport in Miami in the company of a handsome young man named Lucien, who Mr. Rers had apparently met on rentboy.com. Mr. Rers first tried to explain that he had taken this handsome young man on an all-expenses-paid 10-day trip to Europe because he needed help with his luggage. The young man himself, seen here, not helping with the luggage, eventually explained exactly what he was paid for on that European trip. And George Rers ultimately resigned from his job at the anti-gay organization.
I'm just saying it's pretty damning. What's surprising, yet funnily enough, these allegations have not prevented Trump from endorsing Bernie on his campaigns.
America First champion Bernie Moreno to the U.S. Senate. And Bernie, if I could, I'd like to have you come up and say a few words, please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican nominee for 2024 and the future 47th President of the United States of America. You know, I want to clear something up. I want to clear something up for everybody here. I am so sick and tired of Republicans that will say, I support President Trump's policies, but I don't like the man. This is a good man. This is a great American. This man wakes up every day fighting for us, fighting for this country. He loves this country like no other leader.
Bernie, I don't think he loves you back the same way. But I think Trump likes him because Bernie doesn't really know much, which probably makes him pretty easy to puppet.
You get to heaven, and imagine what that's like, what that feels like. And imagine who you get to meet. You get to meet the 55 people that signed our Declaration of Independence. You get to meet James Madison, Abraham Lincoln, John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, George Washington.
Abraham Lincoln? No, he's right. Don't look it up. Abraham Lincoln was there. He signed it. He could have left it with the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. He didn't have to name names at all, but he went for it. It paid off.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is throwing any and all accusations against the LGBT community against the wall and hoping that one will stick. From this extinction argument to the false claim that the Uvalde shooter was transgender and that only gay people can get monkeypox. But the idea that gay individuals are turning straight people into homosexuals is hardly a new one, and is one that plagued the gay rights movement, notably when they were fighting for legalization of gay marriage.
What if people of a state vote for a law 100-0 that winds up infringing on the rights of a minority, like happened very often with slavery, like many would argue is happening now with people who are gay?
It's not the same situation because people have no control over their race, for instance.
You think they have control over their sexuality?
Absolutely.
You think being gay is a choice?
Absolutely.
What's terrifying is that Greene isn't an outlier with her opinions, and we shouldn't write her off as a fringe pariah lunatic when she just won her re-election primary quite easily in Georgia, despite the fact that another Trump Republican, David Perdue, lost handily in that state. This is important to note because while we on the left can trash Marjorie Taylor Greene and her views and opinions, I think it's safe to say that she's just tuning her haters out and speaking to her own base, who agree with whatever she's saying. This fear-mongering about LGBT issues isn't new, as I said, but it has been renewed with a vigor so intense and powerful that we can't just brush off her words because they are gaining traction.